Bonnie and Clyde were famous outlaws, known for their daring and dangerous escapades. They lived during the Great Depression, a time when the American economy was in shambles and many people were struggling to survive. It was a hard time for many people in America, with widespread poverty and unemployment affecting millions. Bonnie and Clyde robbed banks and stole things, becoming infamous for their bold heists and narrow escapes from the law. They became very well known for their crimes, capturing the public's imagination and making headlines across the country. Many people saw them as romantic heroes, rebels who defied the system and lived life on their own terms. They were young and in love, driving fast cars and living outside the law, embodying a sense of freedom and adventure. People loved to read stories about them in the newspapers, following their exploits with a mix of fear and fascination. But their story is also a sad one, marked by violence and tragedy. It's about poverty, desperation, and the choices people make when they feel they have no other options, reflecting the harsh realities of the time. Bonnie and Clyde's story continues to fascinate people today as a symbol of rebellion and the human spirit's desire for freedom. They remind us of a time when life was different, yet their story still resonates with many. They represent rebellion and adventure, even if it came at a high cost, leaving a lasting legacy that continues to captivate our imaginations. Bonnie Parker was born in Texas in 1910. She entered the world in a time of great change and challenge, especially in the rural South. She grew up poor, but dreamed of a better life. Her family struggled to make ends meet, but Bonnie's spirit remained unbroken. She was a bright student who loved poetry and writing. Books were her escape, and she often lost herself in the pages of her favorite stories. She even won a writing contest in school. Her teachers saw great potential in her, believing she could achieve anything she set her mind to. Bonnie's life changed when her father died. Her family struggled financially. The loss was a heavy burden, and it forced Bonnie to grow up quickly. She had to leave school at 16 to help support her family. Despite her own dreams, she put her family's needs first. She worked as a waitress but still dreamed of a more exciting life. The mundane routine of her job couldn't quench her thirst for adventure. Bonnie craved adventure and romance. She longed for a life that was far removed from the hardships she had known. She met and married a young man when she was just 16. It seemed like the beginning of a new chapter filled with promise, but their marriage was short-lived. The dreams she had for her future began to crumble. He turned to crime and ended up in prison. Bonnie's life took another unexpected turn, leaving her to navigate a world filled with uncertainty and loss. Clyde Barrow was born in Texas in 1909, a time when the state was still largely rural and undeveloped. He was one of many children in a poor farming family, struggling to make ends meet in the harsh economic conditions of the early 20th century. Clyde had a tough childhood, marked by hard labor and limited opportunities. The family's financial struggles meant that Clyde and his siblings had to work from a young age. His family moved often to find work, never staying in one place for too long. This constant upheaval made it difficult for Clyde to form lasting friendships or feel a sense of stability. Despite these challenges, Clyde was smart, but also rebellious. He had a keen mind but often used it to defy authority and resist the constraints of his environment. He got into trouble at school and with the law, his rebellious nature leading him down a path of petty crimes and misdemeanors. He started stealing cars as a teenager, seeing it as a way to assert his independence and escape the drudgery of farm life. It was his way of rebelling against the difficult life he was born into. Clyde's crimes escalated as he sought more daring ways to defy the system. He was sent to prison for car theft and other offenses, a turning point that would harden his resolve and shape his future actions. Prison made him bitter and even more determined to live outside the law. The harsh conditions and brutal treatment he experienced only fueled his anger. He learned from other criminals and became more violent, emerging from prison with a new sense of purpose and a hardened criminal mindset. Bonnie Parker and Clyde Barrow met in Texas in 1930. Bonnie was instantly drawn to Clyde's charisma and rebellious spirit. She saw in him a way out of her difficult and challenging life. Clyde was equally smitten with Bonnie. He saw in her a partner in crime and a loyal, devoted companion. They quickly fell in love and began their life on the run. Together they embarked on a crime spree that would captivate the nation. They robbed banks, gas stations, and small stores. Their crimes became more daring and violent, attracting the attention of law enforcement across several states.